I think the Celtics are going to repeat. Maybe that's wishful thinking because I'm a big-time Celtics fan, but I'm not alone in that. The Athletic put out a poll to the players, the NBA players recently, and asked a bevy of different questions, among them being, who do you think is going to win the NBA title? Of the 137 players interviewed, 79 picked the Boston Celtics to repeat and win the 2025 NBA championship. Picked them to win over the Thunder, who were second with 24 votes. Oof. A third of the votes, actually almost a quarter of the votes that the Celtics received. How is that, man? I've only heard about how great the Thunder are all season long. And look, they are. And they beat the Celtics twice in the regular season. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has that MVP aura. Oh, yeah, but when you ask the actual players, they're thinking, yeah, it's going to be the Celtics. Too good. Too much experience. They just did it last year. So I find that fascinating. I really do. And I think right now the Celtics are, obviously in a good spot, but I love this first round matchup, especially what I saw on Sunday against Orlando, because Orlando, and I mean this in a nice way, they're a bunch of pricks. They really are. They're a bunch of young guys who don't know any better and guys that really get after it on the defensive end. They'll play slow. They play really good defense, and they'll get after you. And that's, I think, exactly what the Celtics need. We've seen that each of the last two seasons, much more last year than the year before, of where if the Celtics come out playing defense, like really getting after it on the defensive end, they're going to beat you. I don't care who you are. I don't care where you're playing. The Celtics are that talented that if they come out with their hair on fire playing defense and really taking that seriously, they're going to beat you. They have enough offensive firepower to beat you. They showed it against Orlando in game one. Tatum and Brown combined hit 1-3 in the game. They were both non-factors really offensively, but they got after it defensively. They only gave up 86 points, and Derrick White beats you with 30 points, and Peyton Pritchard gives you 20 off the bench. That's what they can do even when their best players are not having good nights. So that's why I think Orlando is going to take the best out of them. And I think Miami did the same thing last year in the first round, where this is a team that you're going to beat, right? You're better than them, but it is kind of a wake-up call. It's kind of cold water in the face in the morning, right? Of, okay, gentlemen, this is what we need to do. It's not the regular season anymore. They're going to be playing physical. They're going to be getting after on the defensive end. If we don't answer that bell, then we're beating ourselves. We're doing ourselves a disservice. So I love this Orlando matchup round one. And even if it does go 6 games, that might even be better for the Celtics than a 4-game sweep. Because again, it is showing, it's kind of waking them up to, okay, yeah, this is what we did last year. And we went 16-3 and we won the title. This is what we got to do again. The offense will come. Mazzulla ball, it'll come through. But if we're playing defense and we're holding teams under 100, we're going to win every game. I do want to go through some of the other questions asked on this poll because I thought this was really good. The most underrated player in the NBA. There's not much that separates these. 8.8% of the 136 votes cast. 8.8% gives you the number one, which is Cade Cunningham of the Detroit Pistons. Shout out to the Detroit Pistons who beat the Knicks last night. And I said on this show, that's going to be a really tough series for the Knicks. And the Celtics could be seeing the Pistons in the second round or in the near future here. Number 2, 7.4%, Derrick White. I watch Derrick White every night. He's my favorite Celtics player. I have him as the number 1 most underrated, but number 2, just fine. Just fine with me. And not that far after him. So Norman Powell's 3rd, Austin Reeves 4th, 5th on the list at 2.9%. Jrue Holiday of the Boston Celtics. Peyton Pritchard on there at 2.2% as well. Jaylen Brown at 1.5%. So this goes to show that even after an NBA title with one of the best teams of this century in 2024, 64 wins in the regular season, 16-3 in the playoffs, just crushing everyone beneath their weight, never even getting to a game 6. Even after all of that, they have 4 players in the top 20 most underrated players in the league. Like, do you believe us now about this narrative crap that's going out against the Celtics? Because the players who actually play against them, they're like, yeah, that stuff's a bunch of crap. These guys are legit. But yet we'll still hear that slander all the time. And it's not even the best evidence of this is what I'm about to say. Because again, Jrue Holiday, number 5 on this list of most underrated players in the league. They also go with the most overrated players in the league. And somehow, also on this list, the only Celtic on this list with 2.2% of the vote is Jrue Holiday. How is he simultaneously the most overrated player in the league and the most underrated player in the league? How is that possible? By the way, he's underrated. I mean, I did a complete blow sesh of Jrue Holiday yesterday. Check that out on the channel because I think he's the glue that holds the championship team together. But how is that possible? How is he on both of these lists? And by the way, you notice I said he's the only Celtic on that list. So when you poll the actual players in the NBA, not Kendrick Perkins, not Stephen A. Smith, not Tim Bontemps, not anybody on ESPN or TNT or anybody. I'm talking about the players that are the men in the arena that are playing every night. And you ask them who's the most overrated player in the league. Nobody thinks it's Jayson Tatum. Nobody. In fact, they're much more likely to say Rudy Gobert, Trae Young, Jimmy Butler, who's been thrown in discussions about Tatum for years, Giannis, Joel Embiid, guys that have MVPs, Jrue Holiday for some reason. Heck, 2.2% somehow said LeBron James. But they're not saying Jayson Tatum. He's not overrated, man. Much as the NBA media and Twitter wants you to think that he's overrated, much as Nick Young wants you to think he's overrated, the players in the league don't think that. The players in the league don't think he's the softest Celtic star of all time, whatever the hell that means. They don't think that. By the way, the 2.2% of the vote went to LeBron James. Another 2.2% went to no one who reached the NBA is overrated, which I think is a nice touch. Tyrese Halliburton is at the top of that list. And there's a ton of people comparing Halliburton to Tatum last year before the conference finals when Tatum Celtics swept them. Before that is when that came out. So it's incredible. This kind of this disrespect that still goes to not just Jayson Tatum, but all of the Celtics. No one is thinking that Jayson Tatum is overrated. Not in this league. One more. They had 136 votes cast for you're building a roster from scratch. Who are you going to sign first? Top of the list. These guys are basically 1 and 1A, 27.9% versus 27.2%. Wemby and Nikola Jokic. I mean, that's pretty understandable. Jayson Tatum is ahead of Joel Embiid. Always gets hurt. LeBron James, a little old. He's ahead of Giannis. He's ahead of Paolo Banchero, ahead of Steph Curry. Different points of their career for sure. But I just find it so fascinating. And obviously we shouldn't be buying into the crap we see on social media. And I'll lump ESPN into that because it's essentially what their network is at this point. It's just Twitter takes. Jayson Tatum is one of the most respected players in this league. The Celtics are still the most respected team in this league. As much as you want to rip the crown off them, as much as you want to say it's Oklahoma City's league, it's Cleveland's league, because Cleveland wasn't registering on that. Think about that. Oklahoma City had less than a third of the votes that the Celtics had to win the title, and they were ahead of Cleveland. Good team, the Cavs. Good team. But they're not being taken as seriously as the Celtics are. So are they going to go back to back? Let me know in the comments section below. Be sure to like the video. Subscribe to the channel. Only about 10% of you watching are subscribed. We're bringing you nothing but Boston sports every day because I'm a meathead and that's all I know how to talk about. and because I'm slightly autistic, and that's basically all I can talk about. I'm your host, Cam Stuart. Zach Burke keeps us on the air. Check out the other videos on the channel. We are here live on YouTube 5 days a week at high noon Eastern time, and then available wherever you get your podcasts.